Aloha and welcome to the Kupuna Connections television series. I'm Cullen Hayashida, the co-host for the program. The Kupuna Connections television program is locally produced and dedicated to seniors and caregivers throughout the state of Hawaii. The information that we provide is practical and applicable regardless of where you live. And we are very interested in your continued input to provide us with more ideas with regards to what sorts of programs that we should be able to provide for you in the future as well. Today we're very fortunate to have a discussion having to do with independence for the disabled living at home. And before I get started, however, I'd like me to ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting off on my right, Tony.
Okay, I'm the co-host of this program with Cullen, and I am a social worker and the education coordinator for the Kupuna Education Center at Kapi'olani Community College.
Karen.
I'm Karen Oshiro. I'm presently an instructor at KCC, Kapi'olani Community College, for the Occupational Therapy Assistant Program. And I've been in the field for about 20 years.
Thank you. And I'm Pamela Anderson. I'm a practicing COTA, a Certified Occupational Therapist Assistant at Queens Medical Center. Been there for 7 years and a graduate of the Kapi'olani KCC program for the OTAs in 1995.
Okay. Both of our guests are specialists in occupational therapy, and either as an instructor as well as a clinician providing direct services. And much of the focus, of course, is on how do we encourage independence for those that have disability in the home setting. And so much of this focus around the concept of function, the ability to eat, bathe, dress, groom, feed, toilet yourself, get in and out of bed yourself. I'm wondering maybe if we could start out first of all by, raising this question, if you can tell us what happens when you lose function, these functions that we're talking about, and how does it affect your everyday life?
Mm-hmm. Let me please begin.
Yeah.
I guess with my personal experience as a COTA at Queens Medical Center, we deal with acute care. Acute care being the insult has just occurred, very acute. And I'd like to use, for an example, a stroke, maybe a patient that had a CVA. It's
CVA
a brain,
meaning
cerebral vascular accident. So basically it's a stroke. It's a brain attack.
Okay.
It is life-threatening, but in that sense, we may see as part of the team with occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy, we may see this person initially, say, doing an assessment of their basic, and when I say basic, just maybe a sitting balance type of assessment. Being able to get up out of bed, being able to walk over to the sink to do their grooming. But with a CVA, they may have a loss function of a limb, say an arm or a leg, and weakness, I should say. Yeah. So basically, it may also involve vision. It could involve understanding and communication area. So loss of function is extremely important. For example, a person that is trying to be as independent as possible and being able to live at home, and as we see aging in place that occurs so often now, which is, it's so important to keep them independent. But for acute care, we may work with them say within maybe 5 to 7 days, and then they would have to move on to a different facility.
But let's say we're talking about a person at home, maybe just has arthritis, or let's say has some difficulty walking around the house. How does, in what ways are we talking about that this is a challenge?
Okay, I guess I can kind of answer that on mobility. Person with arthritis would probably need a walker or a cane Possibly you'd want to look at the home and make it accessible, possibly take out carpeting so that it's easier to use any type of mobility aid. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Well, sometimes when somebody has had something like a stroke or some kind of incident that's caused this loss of function, and sometimes they're able to get all the function back, but sometimes they're not. So what is rehabilitation and how does that work?
I think Pam can answer.
Basically, rehabilitation, returning to one's maximum functional level, we'd have to probably look at that in overall. Are they able to return home from an acute care? Going on to rehab hospital, for example. And why I say that is because acute care is the initial portion of rehabilitation, and then they will move on, eventually getting back to home. Yeah.
Well, what kinds of things would you do to help the person regain as much function as possible?
We will also be showing, I think, nearer to the end, a few items that we could use in occupational therapy as assistive devices. Say, for example, one that I can just come up with, say, weakness in the right hand, which is their functional hand and their
Right.
dominant hand. If they have lack of gripping strength, sensation, we do have what we call a universal cuff that they could use. It sort of slips on and it's able to, say, put the utensil on it where they could still be able to do the motion of, say, brushing the teeth, but without gripping.
I see.
Yeah.
So when we talk about rehabilitation for this kind of loss of function in occupational therapy, you're not actually teaching them how to do it again, but you're just providing them with devices?
Yes.
Part of it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, again, if we go back to a patient with a CVA or a stroke patient, they may have deficits in communication, so understanding as well as being able to express themselves. Yeah.
Okay. So do you sometimes do exercises with them for them to be able to, you were talking about getting as much function as possible. It
Correct.
may be able that they can get it totally back, but maybe not.
Correct.
How do you help them get as much as possible back?
Basically, again, getting back to acute care, out of bed. They've got to get out of bed and get moving. Yeah.
Okay.
So as part of the team, again, with physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, as well as the nursing staff and the physicians, we do get very involved with them right away, getting out of bed, getting back into their functional ability and working with them at their level.
Okay, so whatever
Yeah.
part has been effective, you're going to get that part moving and working with it right
Yes,
away.
correct.
I guess we used to think that people should rest.
Old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. Yeah. Early on, movement is the best. Yeah.
Okay. So when a person, let's say, cannot recover and is still experiencing, this loss of function, and you want to somehow have them become independent. You're talking about these different kinds of devices, but let's say we talk about, I'm having difficulty walking. What do you do? What can we do to help a person at home who has some difficulty walking get some assistance? What's possible?
Well, I think I can answer that. After they complete the program at the acute center, they could continue with home care, and sometimes therapists, either occupational therapy or a physical therapist, would come over and help them with a home program, possibly doing functional activities, going to the bathroom, getting out of bed, some exercise for mobility. And if they're well enough, they might be able to do a maintenance program where they can meet other seniors and do group exercise.
I see. So at first, you would actually come out to the home and maybe look at that person's situation and help them with whatever obstacles might be in the home, or how they could use the things in the kitchen that they have, or help them learn how to adapt the home. And so, do you make suggestions like that?
Right. If the doctor prescribes prescription for occupational therapist for home assessment, that would be the first step. And then they can recommend any type of assistive devices. For example, if a person loves to cook, we do have adaptive equipment for people with one hand weakness, maybe cooking at tabletop level, using the microwave versus the stove. Also, light meals, making sandwiches.
Teaching them how to make light meals themselves.
So that would be some of the things that the occupational therapist would do.
How about if the person is having trouble with pain with some of the activities, say from, it might be from arthritis in their hand or in their feet. How would you help them to maintain as much, independence and function as possible?
Yeah. Pam did bring a chart on pain management. I don't know if you want to add in.
Could I
on
share that?
Yeah.
Sure.
That would be the first thing to identify maybe pain level.
Right. So this is something that we may use at Queens to identify. Pain is very subjective, but to identify what might be bothering them. We have a facial reading as well, and it's also in various languages, which is one of our requirements to be able to offer different languages.
I see. Oh, so you have the different faces here, so people can tell you at what level their pain is. Like if it's not too bad, I guess it'd be about a 1 or a 2, but if it's really severe, it'd be right around a 9 or a 10.
Yes.
I see.
So a pain scale rating is what we use. But basically, getting back to the home, as you mentioned, maybe for arthritic, sometimes it's just they have to be aware of how they are using their hands as well.
And what does that mean? How they're using?
Say if
their
they're maybe their mayonnaise jar. I'll just say something like that.
Yeah.
If it's too tight, with that kind of emotion, that's going to probably make it hurt more. So there's other type of devices out there that might aid them to open it versus doing a really rather hard gripping motion. Yeah, so sometimes just having them look at what they are doing at the time, if it brings on the pain. Of course, with pain, they won't be doing too much. So that's another area.
So that's one of the reasons we're concerned about that, right? Because if it really hurts a lot, then people do less and less of whatever that motion might be.
Right.
Once the pain is managed, there are programs that I visited. It's pool therapy. There is a program out in Windward, the YMCA, that I take my students sometimes, and we do activity in the water with those with arthritis, the seniors with arthritis and weakness.
I see. Why in the water?
Well, then you don't have to bear weight, on your joints. You're pretty much floating, but yet you're getting mobility, range of motion. So this is really beneficial. And I've had some clients tell me they actually like the cool water. It reduces inflammation. I know some people like warmth, but there are some people who actually feel that the cool water will benefit. Plus the interaction, being with other people, makes it fun.
Now, there's some people that maybe due to their heart condition just are tired all the time. So I'm at home, I have a heart condition, and I'm exhausted. And obviously that's going to affect what I do or how I do it and that sort of thing. What can you suggest? How can we encourage that person, or what can we do to make that person more independent?
Well, I think first of all, they need to identify their pace of how long it takes, and take their time.
Okay.
There's a term called energy conservation, where you do things slowly, do shortcuts, maybe take a break. Also, I think knowing how much movement you can tolerate without getting like an increased blood pressure, etc. Yeah.
I think it goes back to really, again, looking at what their activity they will be doing or want to do. Usually in the mornings, we may have the most energy level, so maybe doing, more difficult task in the morning versus late in the afternoon. Yeah, and then pacing themselves through the day. Yeah. Yeah. I like to use like a scale or maybe just a board. What do you call those that you can erase? But anyway, dry erase board, and they can just put it up and plan out their activities for the day. What I need to do today, Monday. What I need to do Tuesday. Yeah.
So sometimes it's just a simple suggestion of really paying attention as to what your best time of day is,
Correct.
and focusing on that time to do the things that might take a little longer
Right.
or are more complicated and would tire you out more.
Yes, and if they're like me, type A personality, very gasa-gasa, gotta slow down. Yeah, just consider that as well.
I think one of the things that we have to keep in mind is sometimes dividing up things that are heavy. For example, if you have a big rice bag, maybe instead of the 25-pound, you might have to buy 5-pound bags, or taking out the trash. I mean, that's a really big concern for seniors, pushing that garbage,
Yeah.
bin.
Yeah.
And so I think some people would actually leave the bin at the end of the street and don't bring it up, and just take small bags, plastic bags of trash. It's to prevent fatigue. Yeah.
Or possibly asking somebody else for help. I guess.
Correct.
That-
Delegate.
Yes.
Yes.
Delegate.
Delegate.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this one woman that I had talked to about this one particular problem, pushing that trash bin out, and she had to do that over the grass, and which is really hard,
Right.
and that's a big worry for her every week.
Yeah, I think we have to consider seniors who cannot push that big bin, up and down a hill or a slope. They might come up with smaller ones. I don't know if it's possible to come up with a different solution. Right?
I guess another common thing is, folks that have Alzheimer's disease or dementia, and do you have any kind of tips that might help them remember or how to do some of the things that they still want to be able to do?
Yes, there are different type of memory aids. Sometimes it's a strategy, helping them to structure certain things. For example, if you have routine in your daily,
The
life,
activities,
right?
okay.
You might want to like put a dry erase board and put the time. For example, 8 o'clock would be breakfast, 8:15 grooming, 8:30 toileting, and pretty much keep this system going. It's really helpful to remember what's going on. Also, some people forget to eat.
Right.
They can look at the dry erase board. Encourage them to do the checklist after they're done. It's also good for caregivers. I actually did this with one of my clients. It was an elderly Oriental lady, and she had multiple caregivers come into the home. So we did this weekly, where people knew what her routine was. Another thing I think helps is, let's see, reminders. And I have another story of a social worker who told me she would put down assignments or duties with the lipstick, and she would write it on the mirror. Yeah, so when the clients went to the bathroom in the morning, they would read whatever the assignment was to help.
Oh, I see, I
Yeah.
see, okay.
See?
Well, we have some other suggestions here.
Yeah. Well, we're going to, you've been talking some about assistive devices. That's something that occupational therapists, I think, know a lot about and often use to help people regain their function. Can you share some of the different types of devices that there are?
Okay.
Yeah, we have some of these devices shown on the screen right now.
Okay, here's a plate guard. It's helpful for someone with a stroke so that their food would not flow over the side.
Okay.
Okay, next one. This is the universal cuff that Pam was talking about. If you have weakness, unable to grip, it'll help you to get the food from the plate to your mouth. Okay, next. Here's a rocker knife. It's great for people with one hand or weakness in the other hand. All you need to do is rock it side to side or up and down and cut the vegetable or whatever fruit. I know a lot of times people go to Alaska to get these rocking knives. And
Alaska?
Right. I've had a couple of
Explain that to me.
you can get it in catalogs, but if you go to Alaska, they have that in the stores.
Oh, I see.
Why is that?
I think that's what the Indians used to use, right? Alaskan.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
Okay,
I
okay.
see. Huh.
Okay, let's see the next one here now.
Okay. This is a common denture brush. It's used for, cleaning your dentures. Of course, you can use it for your fingers as well, if you want to wash your,
Or there's
scrub
suction cups on the bottom
Yeah.
there.
Right.
I see.
Right.
Or more of a one-handed use.
I see, for one-handed people, right.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, here's a wheelchair lap tray, and I like this because you can see through. Oftentimes, when you have someone with weakness, lower extremities, they're not able to see their feet, so this helps them to not to run over their feet. You know how sometimes they'll propel themselves, but if you don't have any feeling, if there is a potential of running over your own foot if it's not on the footrest. So this is made out of plexiglass. Also has a lip, which is good for keeping things on. If you have pencils or coins, it won't roll over. But it's good for laptop, computer work, as well as feeding. Okay.
Now, is this meant to be left on all the time, or is it kind of detachable and you use only when you need to?
Some people use it a lot, but it should be detachable and easy to take off.
I
So,
see,
yeah.
I see. Okay, I've never seen this thing on,
Really?
yeah, maybe, okay. All right.
Yeah, I've been recommending that often. Now this is a transfer sliding board for someone who's unable to stand. You could use it from bed to wheelchair or car to wheelchair. Training need to be done by a physical therapist or occupational therapist. There are different types. This one allows the client to independently move from one plane to another. So you have the hose over there to hold on to and stick it under the buttocks.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure it's way under so it doesn't fall, and it does take training so that they are safe.
Is this plastic or wood?
This one is a wood, but I think they do carry plastic sliding boards.
It won't splinter, huh?
You've got to sand it down well.
Good, good. Okay.
Okay. Here's something that's used in the acute care stage a lot, someone with a total hip. This is called the sock aid, and there are different types, the plastic and also the foldable one, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I like this one. This is called the bidet. This is great for people who are unable to stand. So if you want to be independent, helps them with their hygiene. Also on the far right, that's the low-tech toilet aid. I've had people with severe arthritis or people who just cannot bend use that. It's like a tong.
Okay.
And this is a uni-turner or gas cap turner. I've actually made a recommendation for someone because they couldn't open or close the cap of their car. And as you can see, it can be used for stoves or other knobs.
We're getting pretty close to the end of our time, and there are a couple things we wanted to ask.
Let's have this last one.
This last one, okay?
Okay, this is the knobble, and this is just to increase the grip if you have arthritis or weakness. You would put it in hot water and put it on. There's no mechanical device. It's just
Okay.
an easy to use device.
And
Okay.
are these expensive, and who pays for it?
Basically, they're privately paid. Insurance wouldn't cover it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you get them?
We'd probably have to go on the internet or look in the directory under medical equipment supply.
Okay.
Yeah, we can buy some of them locally, but some of the specialized equipment will need to be purchased online.
Okay. Let's say now we were just about at the end of our program right now, so I was wondering if both of you could maybe provide our viewers with one last tip, suggestion, with regards to independence for the disabled at home. What's one tip that you could suggest to our viewers?
For me, I think it's just stay healthy, keep moving,
Good.
get out and move.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think try to join a support group or any type of group to get back into the community. Interaction, socializing really helps with healing, and that can help you to possibly learn more. Yeah. So
Okay.
join a support group.
Great.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Pamela Anderson and Karen Oshiro. I am sorry, Karen.
Thank you for
and
having
both
me.
of them are, of course, associated with KCC. Of course, Pamela's been our graduate many years ago. But thank you very much for joining us, and thank you
Thank
all of our
you.
viewers for viewing this program today.
Thank
Aloha.
you.